Hey everybody, my name's Heather Youmans, and I'm here hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live, and we're talking about my new single, A Little Closer to Happy.
I just got introduced to your music and I'm already hooked on it. This new single, this new single is super catchy, and I want to know like what really inspired for you personally, like what kickstarted the idea behind A Little Closer to Happy.
So I like to call myself an eternal optimist because no matter what the situation, no matter how dark or grim it may be, I'm always trying to find the sunny side of it. I can't help it. It's in my nature. It's how I was raised. I was raised by an incredible woman who is very optimistic and positive. So, with that said, I naturally just write happy, positive songs. And those are the ones that really stick out the most to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I write sad songs too, but I feel like my vibe and my purpose in the music industry is to shed light on dark moments and to bring that optimistic and positive point of view to the table.
And that's a great mixture with the kind of music that you're kind of creating, particularly with this song. And like I'm listening to it and it makes me want to play to like replay it and replay it and replay it because it's like so catchy, so fun, and it like gets me lost in the moment.
Ah,
So
that's literally like the best compliment you could ever give an artist.
so for you personally, like what is that process like in order to create something like this? Because at the same time, like I feel like this song is timeless. I feel like you could put it on anytime and people will continue to enjoy it over the years. So for you, like what was that writing process like and how did you come up to create something like this?
Well, thank you for that compliment because being called timeless is a huge compliment. I have to say, I am inspired as a vocalist, as a songwriter, as an artist by so many dynamic women in music through the years. I mean, everybody from Alanis Morissette and Fiona Apple to Stevie Nicks and Ann Wilson of Heart. Just so many incredible women, Sarah Vaughan, that inspire me every single day to sing and to write. And one common thread that I've noticed with all my influences is that when they write, when they perform, it comes so deep from like the heart and from the gut. It's so honest. And when they write, it's them sharing their truth. So whenever I sit down to write a song, that's where I start. I start with my truth and I really try to dig deep uh, to convey my perspective and my emotions on any given topic. And my artist project in particular is a commentary on happiness. So I mentioned I'm an eternal optimist. I'm super positive. I do get sad sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay to be sad. You can still be a happy person. But with that said, when I sit down, I just try to center whatever I'm doing in my own truth. And then taking that and communicating it in a way that's easy to relate to and understand from the listener's perspective, from the fan's perspective. So I wrote A Little Closer to Happy before the, ironically enough, because it sounds like a song. Just listening to the verse, it kind of touches on themes of like self-doubt and maybe sometimes feeling like you're not enough or that you're in this race with perfection. I'm super type A. I always have been. And so that's something that I've personally struggled with. It's something that has prevented me from being happy in the past. So when I went to write this song, I sat down at the piano and, I was really just struggling with a lot of those concepts. And I wanted to let people know that it's okay to struggle with that. It's okay to struggle with perfection. It's okay to struggle with sadness or feeling like you're not enough or feeling scared to take a risk or to just free yourself and open yourself up to opportunity and everything that you actually can be in life. But then I also wanted a really positive like kind of catchy hook to go with that. And the hook is, now I'm a little closer to happy. I guess I never knew that I just had to get past me. And now I'm climbing higher than I've ever been before, and I'm a little closer to happy. So it's all about being a little closer to happy. Happiness is a journey, right? So for me, it's like not every day is going to be my happiest day. And I really cherish the ones that are. But I think that's because I know each day, if I can find the light and find the happiness, even if it's just a little moment in an interaction during the day, that I'm on my way to being happier. And that's great. And that's okay. And it's okay to have moments where you fall down, as long as you're picking yourself up and continuing down that path and that journey toward happiness. And do we ever achieve true happiness? Like, honestly, like that's the $1 million question. I've thought about it a lot. I think we can each day, if we focus on it and we harness it, we can get closer and closer and closer. But I think the pinnacle of happiness is something that is a construct in our mind, right? So we always want more and more and more. So do we ever really reach it? Maybe not, but the thing is that we're always pushing ourselves higher and higher and higher. And that's like a lyrical theme in the course of my song. And now I'm climbing higher than I've ever been before, and I'm just closer to happy, and I keep getting higher. It's I try to make sure that every lyric I write, every thought that I put down is communicated in like the clearest and most efficient way possible. That's the type of songwriter I am. I have a background in journalism, so when you write in journalism, you're taught to be concise, right? And you don't need to use like a bunch of metaphors and big words to convey what you're trying to get across. So a lot of my lyrics, while they do touch on like philosophy and stuff like that, like the actual words that I'm using are not complicated, and that's on purpose because I feel like that's the easiest way to access somebody. Like I'm not going to write like I'm up here. Like I'm just like everybody else, and I want to make sure that in the most easy way possible that I'm able to convey an emotion and a feeling and a vibe. And so I'm like such a nerd about words. Like I love words. And I love music too, but I love words. So with that said, that's something I really paid attention to. I wrote the song on my own. It's very introspective. I don't think it's something I could have written with somebody else because I really dug deep into, my own soul and all the soul searching that I've done. And it's meant to be that way. So like when you listen to the song in the beginning, like even the closeness of the vocal, like I'm like right on the mic, like it's almost like I'm talking through these scenarios like in my head. And that's how the lyrics came to me when I was writing the song. I was at the piano, and a lot of people have their process, right? They're like, oh, chords, melody, lyrics. For this song, it was like sometimes I just go to the piano and I play and I sing and I allow myself to sing whatever melody or lyrics come out first. And like honestly, it's so freeing, and I think it would, if more songwriters, I know there are a lot of songwriters that do that, but it's like if you constrict yourself to that like whole pattern and like break the rules a little bit, like you kind of like you're able to access your subconscious, like that I think that's why I was able to dig so deep into the things that I've been struggling with. Like honestly, when I write songs, I learn things about myself, especially when I like do that exercise as I'm writing.
I mean, it does feel like a very personal, especially with this song, it does feel like a very personal experience. And you're right. I don't think a co-write would have made this song or given this song any justice. Now, the fact that you mentioned like you find the easiest way to get to someone or to reach into someone, I feel like it's easier for other people to understand it and get like involved into the song or the lyric. But I feel like it's harder to write a lyric that has such a simple kind of wording, like you kind of just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find yourself like taking a lot longer to write a song like this one compared to your previous material, like Shine?
So Shine is an interesting one. It was written as a love letter to my younger self, and it really represents the journey that I've been on as an artist through all these years, because I've been an artist and doing that type of thing since I was 13. Like I've been in LA for a minute, and I'm 28 now, so it's been 15 years, and I've created my own music throughout that time. I've also done session work and done a lot of performing because I work here professionally as a performer, where I get to sing any genre I want. I am definitely a vocal chameleon, but Shine and A Little Closer to Happy sound a lot like Haim, or I'm like really influenced by Sheryl Crow. But when I sat down to write Shine, just because it is a coming of age story, I think it was written in like 3 hours, like something crazy like that. And yeah, like I adjust it and stuff like that. It was a co-write with my friend, and we were at a baseball game in San Francisco, and we were talking about high school reunions and how our 10-year high school reunions were coming up. And we looked at each other, we're like, are you even gonna go? Like, I don't know. And spoiler alert, like mine got canceled because it was supposed to be in 2020. So I never got to go to my high school reunion. So we wrote that song. We were looking back at our childhood and how we grew up, and the things that we struggled with. For me, I think it was like self-image and self-love. I don't think it's something I really struggled with growing up, because I'm naturally so type A and very hard on myself, and definitely a perfectionist, but I've been trying to like get away from that as much as I can so I don't drive myself crazy. But I struggled with a lot of things. I struggled with like my body, and I struggled with my own like confidence. Like I feel like now that I'm in my 20s, I'm like writing these songs where, I've developed a level of confidence where I feel like I can walk into a room and I'm there for a reason and I can take up that space. So Shine is really like showing that transition from, artist Heather before, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, to artist Heather now that I've like lived a little bit of my life. So that song, I feel like that story was always inside of me. And it naturally just came out really fast, and the lyrics came out really fast too. Like it was just all like again like subconscious, and then I would refine things as they would come out. I know songwriters, we live and die by voice memos, but I had so many voice memos for that song because I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna tweak this line. I originally would just like let myself sing, sing a melody, add whatever lyrics like feel right in that moment, and then I usually go back and refine. But it was a short process, and it was naturally using those simple words like made a lot of sense because it was written as a love letter to my younger self. So it's like I'm talking to her, and I'm not gonna like be up here like talking to her, like I empathize with her, and I feel like I've thought about like a lot of the things that I would tell myself like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that would have saved me a lot of pain, and that could have helped me find like a little bit more happiness in my life. And I'm not saying I like grew up in a bad way. Like I grew up in the most musical, like awesome family that like supported me, and they're so kind and empathetic and loving. But the world can be really cruel when you're a teenager. So that's what that song is. So it was pretty quick to answer your question. I mean, it was fast. A Little Closer to Happy. I think I started writing that song like one evening, and then I came back to it and I like finished the second verse on another day. Sometimes I need to step away from a song to really see the big picture. because it's really easy to get lost in the details. And at the end of the day, I want my message to be very clear.
What is that final process for you, especially when you jump into the studio to record these tracks? Like, do you have a particular producer that you're working with, or is this like a pretty much a team that you kind of bounce around with when it comes to recording?
So I've recorded with a lot of people in the past, but the producer I worked with on Shine and A Little Closer to Happy, his name is Dan Sadin. He's incredible. He's based in Southern California, and he played in this band called Friendship. And he's like definitely like an indie dude. Like he's all into like indie rock, indie pop rock, and I knew that was his vibe. And we were introduced through a mutual friend, and I think I knew pretty much immediately that, you know, his style would complement a lot of my writing and my own style and tendencies as an artist. And Dan's really great because like we'll get into the studio, and he's a lot like me in the sense that he will like scrutinize every single detail in the best way possible, right? So I like having somebody in the studio with me that is that detailed. Like it is crucial because like the details are everything, like the little nuances. And so we were recording Shine and A Little Closer to Happy before it was like late February 2020, early March. And then we finished it remotely during a few sessions, just this past like summer and fall. And so the process was like weird, like it was so different from anything else I've recorded because it like all this stuff happened in the world. But you know, we did the in-person sessions, which are great. I'm like really big on that. Like I want to connect with people that I'm working with. I like laid down like, you know, the bass, like the demo bass and everything. I'm a bass player too, as well as a singer. So
You pretty much just do it all. Like,
you know,
that's
I have a lot of interests. I can't help it. So yeah, it was just such a cool process because I got to be involved like every second of it. And that's how I like it to be. Like I like it to be really collaborative. I like to work with a producer that challenges me and that like challenges my point of view, but then knows at the end of the day that like this is a project that I want to like 100% like represent me and who I am. And like he never lost sight of that, which was really great. And he's been like the best cheerleader throughout this entire process. I'm like really thankful for him. And I worked with some incredible mixers and mastering engineers on this as well. So they really knocked it out of the park. And we did at least 50% of this remote through remote sessions during the so I'm really proud of what we were able to put together. And I hope through Shine and like A Little Closer to Happy that we're helping people find happiness and light in the darkness. And, you know, fingers crossed, I really hope that we're on our way just out of this and to find, you know, not a new, like a better, like normal, because like, what is normal anymore?
yeah.
It's so weird. But I'm super collaborative. That's just who I am. I have to be that way in the studio, and the process, even though it was disjointed, was incredible.
But you still nailed it. And I think this, like I said, I think this song is such an incredible track that you released, and I'm like excited for everybody else to hear it.
Me too. I've been waiting on this one like a little bit. So crazy story. In the middle of the I got called up by a TV show that Fox was gonna start. It was gonna be season 1 of I Can See Your Voice with the host Ken Jeong, who's like the comedian from The Hangover. He's so funny, and he's also on The Masked Singer. And I got called up in June, July, and they said, "Do you want to do this show?" And I was like, "Wow, like things are happening. Like it's the pandemic. Like what's going on?" And obviously, like they have like all these rules around testing and like safety on set, and it was really great. And I've never felt so cared for and loved and safe in my entire life. and just pampered because we get to work with like the best vocal coaches and choreographers in the business. So they called me and I did this TV show. So it kind of like I released Shine and then I had to like wait because like I was just so preoccupied with this show that I had a little closer to Happy Done. I was just waiting for the right time to put it out. And I think spring is like, it's a perfect time for people to hear this song because like one of the main reference tracks when I was going through the writing process and the producing process was Sheryl Crow's Soak Up the Sun. So I know it's not as like, I don't want to say the word cheesy, but it's not as like, I don't know. It's a realist view of happiness. It's not like I'm gonna soak up the sun and then like you're just like in a car and you're like running around the beach. It's more like introspective, right? But it's like it's happiness from that point of view. So that was actually one of the songs that inspired it. So, you know, naturally, like when somebody listens to something like that, like they want to be like in their convertible or in their car, like driving down PCH in LA, or you know, having a beach day or like walking on the beach, like listening to something like that. And I grew up in San Diego, like 10 minutes from the beach. So like you'll hear like a lot of the SoCal influences in my music. And I love a good throwback. Like I love the Beach Boys, and like the Beach Boys like practically invented like that California sound, right? Because it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I when I was writing Shine and working on A Little Closer to Happy, I kind of took a lot of inspiration from those guitar sounds and those guitar tones, and wanted to incorporate that into my music. So like when what people are listening to is like Heather Youmans, like my commentary on happiness, but it's from this like cool, like good vibe SoCal place that is 100% me and like represents like how I grew up and how I live my life. Like my favorite pastime is like just going to the beach for sunset. Like I take my dog to the beach and we just play fetch for like hours. Like cause she's a Jack Russell Terrier, so she doesn't get tired at all. So she like goes crazy and I just love listening to music and watching the sunset. So it's kind of like me putting my own like personal stamp on my music even more because like to know me is to know that like I'm a diehard San Diegan and I go hard for SoCal. You know, there's no better place in the entire world. I mean, maybe like France, like I really like France a lot and I'm sad that I can't go there right now because of everything that's going on. But SoCal it was the best place to grow up. It's the best place to live. And right around this time of the year in LA, it's the most beautiful weather. So I feel like, you know, now's the time to drop it. Like, I think this is a good vibe to go with like all the warm weather that we're going to start having.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, the timing was perfect. So like I'm excited that it is out now by the time this interview's out, like
Yeah.
everybody will get to enjoy it. And I really wish we could keep talking even more just because like I love your energy. I love your vibe.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately I have to cut it because I have the next one coming up, but
Yeah.
looking forward to doing this again and hopefully like in person. Like I want to get that vibe like in the studio with you because like,
Yeah, totally.
I feel like what I'm experiencing right now is nothing compared to like what would really happen in the studio.
Totally. Yeah. And I just want to let everybody know, like, if they want to like follow me on Spotify, like that's where you're going to get like all the latest updates on music that I'm putting out. Like I put out a lot of really cool covers as well. And follow me on Instagram. That's the best place to like get all the latest news as well. And I just appreciate everybody who's listening or who has listened to the song and has supported the music. I am so grateful and I would be nowhere without all of you.